Successful overland adventures begin before you even hit the trail. Proper vehicle maintenance can mean the difference between an enjoyable adventure that rides off into the sunset or a miserable extraction effort that can take hours and cost hundreds of dollars. While self-performing service and modifications on an overland rig can be a daunting task for those who are unfamiliar with mechanical work, it is an essential skill to develop if you plan on being a self-sufficient traveler who can troubleshoot and repair the rig in an unforgiving environment. The first step in learning about your vehicle is to perform simple maintenance tasks to help you gain confidence and familiarity with each of its systems and components. In this video, we will walk you through an oil change in our 2014 Trail Edition 4Runner. The tools and parts you would need for this service are found in the video description as well as on the blog post link at the bottom of the list. So let's get started. Step 1. Warm it up. Bring the oil up to an operating temperature by driving around for at least 5 minutes. Step 2. Cool it off. Open the hood and allow the external components, like the exhaust, to cool slightly while you prep the work area. Step 3. Skid plate and cover removal. Our rig no longer has the front plastic cover since we upgraded to the Southern Style Off-Road Slimline bumper. But if you do, begin by removing the 7 10mm bolts and plastic push pins supporting the cover. TRD versions of the 4Runner will have a slightly different format, but the principle is the same. Once your front cover is off, loosen the front skid plate by removing the 4 12mm bolts. The rear two bolts are located in recessed pockets. After removing the skid bolts, the skid plate will pivot down from its clips located on its front edge. To remove completely, simply pivot the plate down to a 45-degree angle and pull forward. Next, remove the 2 12mm bolts and the small plate covering the engine drain plug located in the second skid plate. Step 4. Drain the pan. First, remove the oil fill plug from the engine and put it somewhere where you can find it again. Slide your catch can under the rig, making sure its plug and vent are open. Don't ask me how I know this. And begin loosening the 14mm drain plug. Keep in mind, the oil could still be quite warm, so be prepared to recoil and sling oil on your brand new shirt you forgot to change. Now is a good time to remember some cardboard. It goes a long way to help protect your concrete from stains. Once the oil is finished draining, ensure the old drain plug gasket isn't stuck to the pan. If it is, carefully remove it without scratching the surface, which can cause drips down the road. Grab a new gasket and rub some fresh oil on it to help prevent sticking in the future before installing the plug and fresh gasket back into the oil pan. Step 5. Remove the filter. On to the most complicated part of the video, and the most complicated oil filter system I've ever worked on. Place your catch can under the filter housing and remove the small plug in the bottom of the housing using the square end of your 3/8" drive extension. If the entire unit begins to unscrew, stop and use a special filter wrench to snug up the filter housing to the engine. Quick tip, if your special filter socket gets stuck, simply put your ratchet in reverse and tap the handle of the ratchet to free it from its grasp. Now, put your extension back into the square hole and sharply smack the ratchet handle to break the plug free. You may have to repeat this process if the housing continues to turn. Worst case, you can remove the housing as a unit. Just expect a shower of 4Runner juice when you do. Open up your oil filter kit and grab the nipple included. You can now insert the drain tool and allow the residual oil in the housing to empty into the catch can. Next, use your special filter socket to carefully remove the housing and empty the old filter element into the catch can. Step 6. Install the filter kit. Now you're ready to clean up and rebuild the filter housing with the new filter element and O-rings. First, lube up the new large O-ring with some fresh oil to prevent sticking issues during reinstallation. Next, place the new filter element into the housing. Don't worry about orientation, as the element has no up or down requirement. Now, reinstall the filter housing, ensuring the unit is properly torqued per the factory spec, which is 18 foot-pounds. Always confirm torque specs in your manual. You can also watch the location in the middle tab on the housing to ensure it returns the same location in relation to the mount area. Expect steady resistance while you reinstall the housing. The fresh O-ring will cause some drag, that may trick you into thinking it's seated before it's totally installed. Now you can install the small O-ring in the base of the housing. Again, coating it with a thin layer of fresh oil before tightening the metal plug to 10 foot-pounds. I have to give a quick plug to this awesome LED light from the good folks over at WagonTech. It's not just great for using around camp, it's perfect for illuminating those tight areas on your rig too. The magnets on the back allow us to snap into place just about anywhere. You might want to check out their site and add one or two to your overland kit. Step 7. Top it off. Insert your funnel into the oil fill location and pour 6.5 quarts of oil into the engine. While the manual calls for 6.6 quarts of oil, we have found that 6.6 will indicate an overfill condition on the dipstick of our rig. It's better to stop short and check a few times than to overfill the engine, which can cause damage if you run it at the wrong level. Now you can crank the engine up and let it run for a few minutes, which will allow the oil filter housing to fill completely before checking the oil level. It's a good idea to pull the dipstick for approximately 3 minutes to help get an accurate measurement. Now insert the dipstick briefly and ensure the level is correct. If you've overfilled the engine, you'll need to drain a bit before proceeding to the next step. Step 8. Reinstall covers and skid plate. Reinstallation of the covers and skid plates are simply the reversal of removal. Just remember to hold the front skid plate at a 45-degree angle when installing the tabs to avoid frustration and profanities. You may have to wiggle the skid plate to seat it into place prior to bolting it down. Well, that about wraps up this video. Even if you don't have this exact model rig, the procedure is fairly consistent with most other makes and models out there. So grab a manual, a few tools, a filter, and some fresh oil, and start learning about your overland rig from the ground up. Whether you're a master mechanic or have never touched a wrench in your life, we hope this how-to video helps encourage you to learn more about your rig before venturing out on the trail. Thanks for watching, and safe travels. Hey, if you like our videos, throw us a thumbs up and subscribe below.